What up, boys, and welcome back to yet another video. So in today's video, we're taking a look at the dungeons that's worthwhile doing, because I know a lot of you guys prefer to do solo farming, and dungeons, let's face it, it's no point in them being more than just yourself. So before we start the video, massive thank you for all of the support on the 0 to 10 million gold guide. This gold guide features the best tactics and methods that I personally use in order to make hundreds of millions of gold. Not only that, but the best part about it is the fact that it's a digital guide. So that means whenever there's a new patch or even a new expansion, I update the exact same gold guide completely for free, and I send it to your email. So that means you only got to get it once, and you will forever have every single update for life completely for free. So if you don't have it already, check it out with the link down below in the description. And by using the discount code STUDENT, you get it for 50% off. And I know a lot of you guys already have the gold guide. Really do appreciate that. And if you're happy with it, you're most definitely going to be happy on the VIP Discord as well. VIP Discord gives you access to all my YouTube videos before they go public on YouTube, so you get that advantage of seeing them first. Also, you get exclusive gold tips, multiple spreadsheets for gold making, investments, and much, much more. But that will be linked together with the gold guide down below in the description. Now, when we're talking about dungeon farming, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. There's some dungeons that's considered okay for steady gold making, and some dungeons that are just good for like cosmetic items, collectibles. And if it's of any interest, I can make a video on like the best dungeons for steady gold as well. But in this video, we're going to focus more on the collectible side of it, like expensive transmog sets that sells fast, basically which dungeons are worth doing and which ones aren't. And in order to do so, it's great to use Sustaina's infographic of the loot, which this is also going to be in the gold guide. It's basically an image showing you guys what loot you can get from different dungeons, also separated by loot pools, because there's like a couple of dungeons that shares the same world drop, and then the dungeon also has specific items to themselves. Like an example would be if you just look at loot pool A, right? So you can see that RFK and Moradon can all drop these transmog sets right here. RFD and Dire Mole can drop these transmog sets, and so on. But then there's also going to be items that's specific to the dungeon right here. Same thing with RFK. So we're going to start off with loot table A. I personally think that Moradon is a very bad dungeon because there's no item that's specific to Moradon that does well. So when it comes to getting the items in the loot table, like loot pool A, I would highly suggest you guys to do RFK and RFD. Those are the best dungeons to do it, because there's a lot of dungeon-specific blue items that do really well from these two dungeons. It is worth mentioning that Dire Mole is interesting. Firemain Leggings is that's a mistake. That's not unique to Dire Mole. That's a world drop. But the Nat Pagel books from Dire Mole are doing quite well. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people are sleeping on it, but they do quite well. In loot table B, we have Nomer and SM. Now, the Scarlet Monastery unique item list right here also includes items that used to be very hard to get. Now you can do old Scarlet Monastery as well. But both dungeons, Nomer and Scarlet Monastery, are very good dungeons. Now, the sets that you see right here aren't good, like with the exception of the Silver Tread set. But all these other transmog sets are very bad. But the dungeons are so good when it comes to unique appearance transmog items. Like, Nomer is insane because it has so many weapons, and weapons do really well. Scarlet Monastery is good. It has a lot of mediocre transmog, but it's like the new Uldaman because it has insane value transmog, some of the hardest transmog items to get in the game. So Scarlet Monastery is definitely very good. We then have Loot Pool C, which is where it starts to get interesting in terms of world drop. A lot of these sets are selling quite fast, like the Alabaster and the Imperial, the Ebon Hold. Like, there's a couple of these sets that sells very fast. Now, BRD is a dungeon that has a couple of items of interest, but the majority of the items that are specific to BRD are pretty bad. The best item being the Spire of the Stone Shaper, Doomforge Straight Edge, and the Rib Splitter does okay, but all of the other items are kind of meh. So it's definitely not a favorite dungeon of mine to run. However, though, it is pretty good, decent, like steady gold if you have mining. LBRS is quite interesting because you can get Arcanite Champion and Arcanite Reaper. Arcanite Reaper with a 10% drop chance, so it's not as valuable as the Arcanite Champion that drops off the last boss in the LBRS. You can also get like the high tier epics from this dungeon, like Skullflame Shield, Cloudkeeper, Leg Plates, Destiny, and so on. So good dungeon. I would much rather do LBRS over BRD. In this one, I really would. Now, Sunken Temple is a dungeon that is very good as well. A lot of people are sleeping on Sunken Temple, but Sunken Temple drops a lot of unique appearance items that can only be obtained inside of Sunken Temple, and a lot of those are gonna be like weapons. The last loot pool, which is loot pool D, would be Wailing Caverns and BFD. Now, I wouldn't do Wailing Caverns because Wailing Caverns is just not good enough compared to open world farms that you have at your disposal. Like, what I mean by that is that you can do something like Northern Barrens Sludge Fen Farm, and you can just run around a lake in a circle, even solo, killing mobs, and you will get way more loot than running the dungeon itself. Now, BFD is different because BFD can drop those same items, a lot of them, but it also has a lot of unique items to it, like the Grimclaw, Onyx Claymore, Staff of Friar. Like, it has a lot of weapons and a lot of valuable transfer items that's like unique to the dungeon. So BFD is definitely a dungeon you can do. Wailing Caverns, not so much. And then everyone's favorite dungeon, Uldaman. Now, all of these Uldaman drops, these green transmog set items, are absolutely horrible. 80-90% of all the blue items you get in Uldaman is really, really bad. That's the thing. Like, I've done, seriously, probably 3,000 runs of Uldaman, and I've had 4 super items. In those 3,000 runs, I made more gold selling something like the Jinsu sword than I did selling any of the super items that I received. And that is just because you will, on average, get way more Jinsu swords than you will get any of these super items. Now, back in the days, something like a Miners Out of the Deep and a Papal Fest would sell for millions. But now, because you have the secrets of Nax Ramus unlocked, people are gambling for the lamented items, and they can get items like Miners Out of the Deep and Papal Fest while they roll for the territory token. So that means that there's a higher supply, but still roughly the same demand, so the prices have gone down on those drastically. That being said, though, Uldaman is not a dungeon that I would recommend doing before I've done all the other ones that I've mentioned in this video, and even a couple of open world farms. However, Uldaman still drops a couple of good items, and you have like an insanely low chance of getting the super items, but it drops Jinsu. It also drops open world patterns and plans, like the rich purple silk shirt pattern, the star belt, lesser parry. It has a couple of those, but it's not a good dungeon to farm, in my opinion. Sulfurak, you can just scrap Sulfurak off your list. Sulfurak used to be one of the most popular dungeons to farm in the game because you could get glorious legs, but now you can do solo farms in the open world and kill more mobs and average more loot than you would do running Sulfurak. So Sulfurak is not a dungeon that I recommend anyone to run. There has been a change recently, well, not recently, but you're able to get this design from Gasrilla. And that design used to do really well, but even that's at a fairly low price now, to the point where Sulfurak is just not worth it. Shadowfang Keep is good. Silver Tread and Buccaneers, that's straight on point. Like, they do well. The vests and the robe. And it obviously has a lot of items that's unique to Shadowfang Keep, but most of these items are bad with the exception of Shadowfang, Assassin's Blade. Duskbringer is extremely good. Necrology Robe and Gloom Shroud tends to do well. On some realms, you can even make some gold on the Night Reaver as well. But you're going to get a lot of Mind Trust Braziers and Black Malice and these bad items, the Guillotine Axe, before you get a Shadowfang or a Duskbringer, which would be the Holy Grail. So all the other dungeons not mentioned, like Deadmine Stockades, RFC, Stratholme, Skolamans kind of destroyed because items like the Coldstone Slippers and some of the Stratholme items like Play Count Leggings, it's just not enough for you to run it. Skolamans got kind of ruined with the release of the Secrets of Naxxramas because everyone was running Skolamans. Everyone was getting those items, and also these items can also be obtained when you gamble for the lamented items. Now, that was the classic dungeons, right? And the classic dungeons are on a completely different level than all the other expansions. And like a big reason to that is because Blizzard got lazy down the line, where a lot of the items from, let's say, Mist of Pandaria, the green items, the blues and the epics, they share the same appearance as a ton of other items, like basic quest items that you get doing the campaign. So they're not that good, but there's a couple of exceptions, like for instance, if you really want to get Burning Crusade transmog items, Hellfire Rampart is a good dungeon to run for that. And then you also have Wrath of the Lich King. If you want to get those items, I recommend you to run Draktaran Keep. Has a lot of unique appearance weapons. It's also one of the more hidden gems of transmog farming, because there's not a lot of people farming like Wrath of the Lich King transmog items in general. And then, like, outside of that, sure, there's going to be other dungeons as well worth running. You have, for instance, Warlords of Draenor, where Iron Docks and Spires of Arak, Skyreach, are the most popular dungeons to run. And people run that because they want to get, like, mainly epic items. Like, if you want to get the Black Rocket Bulwark, and you want to be solo farming, then those are definitely the dungeons that you want to run. But that's like my list of dungeons that I recommend you guys to run. There's going to be more items as well from specific dungeons. Like you have Cataclysm dungeons where you can get one unique item from that one dungeon, right? And there's a couple of those dungeons out there, but like for like a big variety of different loot from a single dungeon, these are the dungeons that I would run. So hopefully it made at least a little bit of sense, and keep me posted in the comment section down below if you think I should do steady gold as well from raids and dungeons. But that's pretty much it for today's video. So don't forget to check out this 0 to 10 million gold guide together with the VIP Discord. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this, and I will see you all back in at tomorrow's video. But until then, bye-bye.